You already know something is off, not in a dramatic way, in a quiet, grinding way. The kind that shows up at 11 p.m. when the room is dark and you're doing the math again. The same math you did last week, the same math that never adds up. You wake up some mornings and the weight of where you thought you'd be by now sits on your chest before your feet even touch the floor. You had plans, real ones. And somewhere between the intention and the execution, something collapsed. I need you to hear this clearly. You are not lazy. You are not broken. What you are is a man operating on rules nobody explicitly taught you, inside an environment engineered to exhaust your willpower before noon. Your dopamine system has been hijacked. Your financial architecture was never built, it was inherited. Your social circle has normalized a ceiling you were never supposed to accept. This is not a character flaw, this is a mechanical failure. And mechanical failures have mechanical solutions. The problem is not that you lack motivation. That is the lie the self-help industry sells because motivation is easy to package and impossible to sustain. Motivation is an emotion. Emotions are temporary. You cannot build a life on a feeling that dissolves under pressure. And hustle without architecture is just exhaustion with better branding. You can work 14-hour days in the wrong direction and end up more behind than when you started, with less health and fewer relationships to show for it. What you need is not more intensity. What you need is a reconstruction, a deliberate structural rebuilding of the laws you operate by. 6 laws, not tips, not hacks, laws. The kind that, once installed into your daily operating system, begin compounding in your favor, whether you feel inspired or not. This is the blueprint. What you need is not more intensity. What you need is a reconstruction, a deliberate structural rebuilding of the laws you operate by. 6 laws, not tips, not hacks, laws. The kind that, once installed into your daily operating system, begin compounding in your favor, whether you feel inspired or not. This is the blueprint. The question is whether you designed those defaults or inherited them by accident. Audit what your eyes land on when you wake up. What is on your phone's first screen? What your workspace looks like. Restructure your environment so the friction of bad behavior increases and the friction of good behavior decreases. You do not need to be stronger. You need to build a smarter room. Law 2. Track the first $500 of every paycheck before it touches anything else. Most men manage money reactively. They spend first and save whatever is left over, which is almost always nothing. They believe that once they earn more, the savings will follow. They won't. The behavior doesn't change with the income. The reframe is neurological. When you allocate deliberately before spending impulsively, you are exercising executive function, the prefrontal cortex overriding short-term impulse for long-term gain. Every time you do it, you strengthen that pathway. $500 is not a magic number. It is an accessible threshold. Track it. Allocate it with intention. Watch your relationship with money shift from reactive to sovereign. Law 3. Audit your 5 closest relationships with the same rigor you audit your finances. Your income, your ambitions, your sense of what is possible, all of these are being constantly calibrated by the people you spend the most time with. Not through dramatic speeches, through osmosis, through what gets normalized in conversation. If the people around you mock ambition, you will learn to suppress yours. This is not about cutting people off coldly. It is about intentional proximity management. Begin spending more time with people who are building something, who talk about ideas and futures rather than gossip and grievances. Move toward what you want to become. Within 6 months, your internal conversation will have shifted in ways that surprise you. Law 4. Eliminate the second decision. Most men fail not because of one bad decision, but because they leave themselves exposed to the cascade that follows it. You stay up until 1 a.m., which means you wake up tired, which means you skip the gym, which means you reach for comfort food, which means your afternoon is gone. One decision triggered a 6-decision collapse. High-performing men eliminate the second decision by making the first one with structural finality. Sleep has a non-negotiable time, not a goal, a locked boundary. Because protecting sleep protects everything downstream. Design the first decision with the knowledge that it will make 5 decisions for you automatically. Law 5. Replace the performance of productivity with the architecture of output. Most men in their 20s and 30s are extremely busy, full calendars, long to-do lists. the exhaustion of effort. And yet they look up at the end of the month and find that nothing of consequence has moved because they have confused activity with output. The brain rewards checking boxes. It does not inherently reward the slow, unglamorous work of building something that matters. Every single day there is one task, usually the hardest one, usually the one you most want to defer, that accounts for 80% of your real progress. Do it first, before the email, before the scroll, before the meeting that could have been a message. Law 6. Build a financial floor before you build a ceiling. Most men are chasing income while standing on a foundation one emergency away from collapse. No savings, no buffer. Just enough to sustain the current level until something breaks. And something always breaks. The trap is that men chase the ceiling because it is exciting and visible. The floor is boring. But men who have no floor are psychologically incapable of taking the calculated risks that build wealth. You cannot think expansively when you are financially terrified. Fear contracts cognition. 3 months of living expenses in a separate, deliberately inconvenient account. The benefit is not financial first, it is psychological. The anxiety that hums beneath every decision begins to quiet, and from quiet, clarity emerges. Here is what you need to understand before you close this video. There is a period coming, roughly 3 to 4 weeks from now, where nothing will look different. Your bank account will not have visually changed. Your body will not look different. Your career will not have dramatically shifted. This is the valley of silence. This is where almost every man quits. Not because the system failed, because the system has not had time to compound yet. Progress in the early stages is invisible. It is happening at the level of neural pathways and behavioral defaults. You cannot see it yet. But it is occurring. The men who understand this stay in the valley. The men who don't abandon the process days before it would have surfaced. There is also a social dimension you are not prepared for. When you start protecting your sleep, auditing your spending, and choosing your circle deliberately, people around you will notice. Some will mock it. Some will call it excessive. Some will feel implicitly criticized by your discipline because your choices hold a mirror to their complacency. Expect this. Do not explain yourself. Do not justify. Do not debate. Simply continue. The men who eventually respect your results are often the same ones who initially ridiculed your process. Peaceful environment. Imagine yourself 3 years from today. Not in a fantasy, in a realistic, achievable version of your life. You wake up without the low-level anxiety that currently greets you. Your financial foundation is solid enough that an unexpected expense is an inconvenience, not a catastrophe. Your body reflects the discipline you chose to install. Your closest relationships are with people who challenge and elevate you. You are not rich in a magazine cover way. You are sovereign. You have built something real. The peace you feel in that version is not the absence of challenge. It is the presence of control. That version of you is the mathematical consequence of the laws you choose to install beginning today. Even if you only execute on half of what is in this video, your trajectory will change, not slightly, fundamentally, because even half of a system is infinitely more powerful than no system at all. You do not need to be perfect. You need to begin. You need to stay. You need to trust the compounding before you can see it. The architecture exists. Stop operating on a borrowed blueprint and start building your own. If you are ready to stop drifting and start building, comment the words, "I am rebuilding" below this video right now. That single act of public commitment activates accountability in a way that private intention never will. Subscribe to the Peak Minds to lock in the commitment, because everything we build here is designed for one purpose: to make the version of you that is still quietly possible, loudly inevitable.